where the heck is Rock Hill, South Carolina? If you're looking to move to Charlotte, you ought to be taking a look at Rock Hill. It's one of the bigger suburbs to the south of Charlotte. And what we're going to do today is give you a map tour of Rock Hill. If you take a look at this video right here, that'll give you a video blog, talk to you all about Rock Hill, the town, the history, some of the schools there, parks, all that good stuff. But today we're going to talk just about where it's located in relationship to Charlotte, the East Coast, and then some of the things closer in on the town. So stick around. Hey, how are you? I'm Dave DeSilva with Longtab Realty, brokered by eXp Realty here in Charlotte, North Carolina. I am just about 25-30 minutes north of Rock Hill at this point, and what we're going to do is bring you, like we always do, information about things going on, people to see, places to go around the general Charlotte market or its neighborhoods or its suburbs. And today, like I said, Rock Hill is what we're going to talk about and give you a map tour. We're going to start at about 30, 40, 50,000 feet. We're going to zoom in a little bit closer, and then we're going to zoom in onto the town. So if you're thinking of moving here to the Charlotte area or Rock Hill in 10 days, 10 weeks, 10 months, we would love to talk to you. We'd love to get on a Zoom call with you, talk to you about the area, maybe set up a time to meet with you when you get down here. If you look in that description down below, we've got a link to our Zoom call. And then if you look down below here, and this is your first time to the channel, we've got a place for you to subscribe to the channel, hit the bell, and then you'll be the first to get notified, or one of the first to get notified every time we put out a new video. We get calls, texts, emails all the time from people just like you that are looking to get more information about the Charlotte area. So stick around to this channel and we'll bring it to you right away. So here we go. We're going to jump out a little bit and look at a map from, like I said, it's more like 100,000 feet maybe, but we're going to look down at the Charlotte area, the Rock Hill area, and then point out some of the major routes of transportation, the airports, the beach, the mountains, some of the lakes, and then, like I said, we'll zoom in a little bit closer, and lastly, we'll zoom in right on Rock Hill and talk to you about some specific highlights of the area. So here we go. All right, so as I said, what we're going to do is show you a map right now, Charlotte and Rock Hill area. And in most of the suburbs around Charlotte, this far out, it's hard to see the suburbs, but because of the size of Rock Hill, which is the 5th largest city in South Carolina, and it's located just south of Charlotte, you can actually see the city outskirts or the city outline of Rock Hill. So let's jump on the map and show you that stuff. All right, so here is Charlotte, and sorry if I don't have great eye contact with you on this one because I'm going to be looking at the map a little bit and highlighting things. But here we've got Charlotte, North Carolina, and right down here is the subject of this map for Rock Hill. So what I want to do is kind of cut through the area with the roadways and then talk about some of the larger cities within 2, 3, 4 hours of Charlotte and Rock Hill, and then also the coast and the mountains. So as I said here, Charlotte is Rock Hill. Two of the main roads going through both of these areas are Route 77 goes north and south. 77 goes right down to Columbia, South Carolina, and Columbia is about an hour and 15 minutes south of Rock Hill. And then we've got 85, and I'll start over here in Atlanta. 85 starts in Atlanta, and Atlanta's probably about 4 hours and 30 minutes, give or take, from Rock Hill. You probably want to drive up north here a little bit onto 85 and then head down to Atlanta. About 4 hours and 15 minutes for me from South Charlotte. So here we go, there's 85. Yeah, and 85 splits Charlotte, heads up to Greensboro, Winston-Salem, Greensboro, over towards Raleigh-Durham, and then up towards Richmond. And that's about 6 hours, 6.5 hours to Richmond. Now, we went through Durham, we went through Raleigh, the home of NC State Wolfpack, yay, go Pack, and their suburbs, Chapel Hill, Apex, Cary, Wake Forest. That's probably about 3.5 hours from the Rock Hill area. You've got to scoot up north on 77, around on 485, and then up 85. There are a couple different ways to go to. Somebody might go Route 74 and then 421. That's more back roads, but that's about, like I said, 3.5 hours or so from Rock Hill. If you're looking at going way far out here towards, let me see if I can move me a little bit. If you're heading out towards Kitty Hawk, Nags Head, that's where the first flight was done by the Wright brothers, Duck, North Carolina. you're looking at a trip of about 6.5 to 7 hours, and everything depending on traffic and the weather. So that's going to be a nice long trip out there. Now, you got 95, which is run up and down the East Coast from Florida all the way on up to New England, Massachusetts, all the way on up there. Now, if you're heading to, maybe you want to go to the beaches and you're going to go to Wilmington or you're going to go to Charleston, those are both probably about 3.5 hours away. Charleston a little bit closer, maybe 3 hours or less, because Rock Hill, you would jump on from Rock Hill down 77 and then over on 26 once you get to Columbia. So Charleston's probably 20-30 minutes closer to Rock Hill than it is to where I am, or Charlotte. Over towards Wilmington, you're going to be jumping on Route 74. That's a bypass through Monroe, and that'll take you again from Rock Hill, probably take you 15-20 minutes to get over that direction. That's going to be about 3.5 hours, give or take. And then, of course, down to Augusta, that's another 45 minutes, an hour from Columbia. So if you're a golfer, you're not very far from Rock Hill to really any golf courses. There's a great bunch of them in Charlotte, and we do have a PGA Tour coming through Charlotte every year. But as far as the Masters goes, that's right down here in Augusta. Now out to the west, you're going to look at Asheville. That is just historic Asheville, Waynesville, Black Mountain, Morganton, all those places. You can get there either going down 85 and up 26 again, or you can go up 77 and then over on 40 through Morganton. There's another quick way, 321, and that gets you to 40. And if you head straight north on 321, you're going to end up in Boone. Oh, excuse my language. That's the home of the Appalachian State 49ers, or the Nerds. I didn't get that right. A little bit further off to the west, northwest, after you get out of Asheville, is Knoxville, Tennessee. And again, that's looking like maybe 4.5 hours, again, give or take. So that's kind of the East Coast, West Coast highlights of the cities. And some of the other places, you've got Charlotte Douglas International Airport. I'll show you that when we zoom in a little bit more. That's up here. Obviously, you've got the whole coastline here. So you can get there anywhere from 6 or 7 hours to 3.5, 2.5 hours. And then maybe a little bit south into Savannah, 4.5 hours, give or take. And then you've got the mountains, you've got the Appalachians, you've got the Blue Ridge Mountains all along in here. Excuse my mountain range. But you can get up to those mountains in 2.5, 3.5 hours from Rock Hill. And everything, you can get just about anywhere on 77, 85, 95, anywhere on the East Coast side of the country. So that's the far out picture of where Rock Hill is. Again, right there is Rock Hill. I am right down here in South Charlotte. This is a definite suburb of Charlotte, and we'll cut in a little bit closer and talk to a few more suburbs of Charlotte once we get in our little zoom range zone. So hold on for one more second, and we're going to go to the next part of our map tour. Okay, so that was just an overview of the Charlotte market, Rock Hill, and then everything for 3, 4, 5, 6 hours around it, give or take. Some of the major cities. Of course, we went to the beach, to the east, to the mountains, to the west. So here we're going to zoom in a little bit more and be more specific about Charlotte, the Charlotte market, and then Rock Hill and how it plays into it. So here we go. We're going to cover some of the things covered already a little bit, kind of like here's Charlotte and down here is Rock Hill. So what I'll do is I'll kind of outline Rock Hill a little bit so you don't lose sight of that. And we're not going to talk about the inner workings of Rock Hill yet, just things around it. And as I did before, I'm going to go from Charlotte, kind of go outward and talk to you about the major roadways, some of the suburbs, the lakes, some of the points of interest, and some distances back and forth. But when we're looking at Charlotte and Rock Hill and its relationship to the rest of the suburbs around it, Rock Hill's probably the third or fourth most populated one, depending on what you call a suburb. If you consider Concord, for example, that's got over 100,000 people. That's a little bit larger. There's Gastonia. That's a little bit larger. Some place like Monroe down here, which, not really sure if that's considered a suburb. That's a little bit smaller. So while Rock Hill is a little bit larger than most of the suburbs, when you're thinking of like Mint Hill, Matthews, and all that stuff, it's not the largest. So that's just something I want to throw in there. But here we go with Charlotte, and around Charlotte, you've got Route 485. That's the major route that circles Charlotte. Lots of places on 485 are already over capacity. Then you've got 77 coming from the north that splits Charlotte, that goes right, not necessarily through the center of Rock Hill, but pretty much to the eastern side of Rock Hill. To the north side of Rock Hill, and again covers the top side, north side of Charlotte, is Route 85. There you go. There you go. And 85 heads up, as I said before, towards Winston-Salem, can get you out over towards Raleigh, Durham, Cary, and then all the way up to Richmond, Virginia. Let's see, another major route if you're coming from Charlotte or either Rock Hill and you're heading out to the beaches on the east side, on the coast, that's the only place you're going to find beaches, is Route 74. So 74, the old 74 goes like this. You've now got the 74 bypass, which is a toll road. They're both about the same time, distance, give or take, to get through them, but 74 bypass is so much easier to drive. Non-stop, straight right through, good 60, 65 plus miles an hour until you get to Marshville, then it slows up again. And then 74 will take you all the way to Rockingham and then to the beach, to the coast. That'll take you to Wilmington and up and down the coast there. And if you're heading to the beaches on the south side, you would take 77 down here to Columbia, which is about an hour, give or take, from Rock Hill, depending on where you're on Rock Hill and traffic. And I always say depending on traffic. So the beaches of Charleston, about 3 hours away. Myrtle Beach, maybe 3.5, something like that. You'd go south on 77, then 26 over. And there are a bunch of different ways to go too, but those are the main routes. So those are the transportation. Around Charlotte, you do have Route 277, and that goes around here. That just circles the city. And then you've got a whole bunch of other 2-lane, 4-lane roads in and out of Charlotte. So that's what we've got for major routes of transportation. As far as some of the suburbs go, we're looking at Mint Hill, Matthews, Indian Trail, you got Weddington, and these are all to the northeast of Rock Hill, a little bit to the south. Northeast of Rock Hill, southeast of Charlotte. You got Indian Land, which is in the South Carolina side, Fort Mills on the South Carolina side, Tega Cay, Lake Wiley area. We'll talk about that in a minute. But one thing I did mention, it's probably a pretty big deal. Right here, you're going to see, there it is, squiggly down here, the North Carolina, South Carolina border. And Rock Hill is just to the south, Charlotte is just to the north of the border. So we are split by the North Carolina, South Carolina border here. As I was saying, some more suburbs. You've got Belmont, which is right in here. It's a great little up and coming suburb. I shouldn't say up and coming because it's up and it's here. So that's a great suburb. Gastonia off to the west, Mount Holly a little bit to the northwest of Charlotte and just north of Tega Cay. And then again, these are going to be more suburbs of Charlotte, not necessarily suburbs of Rock Hill. The north side, you've got Huntersville, you've got Cornelius, Davidson, Mooresville a little bit further up north. So, and then just to the northeast, Harrisburg over here, Concord, which I mentioned already, in Kannapolis. And then you've got, again, a couple other small towns thrown in between. I didn't mention Pineville. That's a great little suburb. Waxhaw, which is right down here. Again, a nice suburb of Charlotte. So those are the major routes. Those are the suburbs of Charlotte. What we're going to do now is kind of hit a few of the highlights, things going on right around Charlotte. And one of the biggest things to talk about, which is right in here, is Charlotte Douglas International Airport, one of the larger, more or busier airports in the country, and almost always expanding, it seems like. That is just what you'll find. Everything's an hour away from Rock Hill. But if you're looking at Charlotte Douglas, that's only 45 minutes north of Rock Hill. Easy to get there. Jump on 77, 485, right around. I should be using my arrows here. So that's Charlotte Douglas International Airport. And then just to the north of that a little bit is the U.S. National Whitewater Center. Great place for recreation, great place to take your family, friends. If you're visiting, you can spend the day there whitewater rafting on a man-made whitewater rafting facility, rock climbing, zip lining, bike riding on trails, running through the trails, just sitting out enjoying the sun. Sometimes they have entertainment there. They do have like a restaurant type place where you can grab a burger, grab some beer, and then watch what's going on. But I say mountain climb or wall climbing too. So just a lot to do at the U.S. National Whitewater Center. Many times they've had the U.S. Olympic trials there. I don't think I've heard much about that this cycle for the Paris Olympics, but it's a great place to go. Hone your skills on the boat, the kayaks, the rafts, all that good stuff. They do have whitewater rafting there. Did I mention that already? Okay, next what we're going to do is talk a little bit about some of the lakes, which are a big attraction around the Charlotte market. And the biggest lake is here up north, and that's Lake Norman. Yeah, big old man-made lake. That again is going to be probably an hour north of Rock Hill. You would just come straight up 77 to get there. If you have an accident on 77 somewhere, you can take 485, go around, and then hit 77 or 16, and then come the back way into Lake Norman. But great place to go. I'm going to talk about 3 other lakes off to the east, northeast of Charlotte, but these aren't too far from Rock Hill either. That's High Rock, Baden, and Tillery. These 3 lakes here, they are just to the west of the Uwharrie National Forest, which is an awesome place again to go hiking, biking. A lot of Jeepers go out there. They've got some ultra runs. I've done a 40-miler out there. It took about 9 hours, 20 minutes. It is very hilly. So that's a great place to go. And during parts of the year, I think I've said this before, you're going to find soldiers from Fort Bragg, the U.S. Army Special Forces, does their training out here. It's one of the last training events that Special Forces troops go through prior to getting their Green Beret and then moving out to whatever unit they're going to, whatever group. So that's always fun. They're coming from Fort Bragg, which is now known as Fort Liberty. It'll always be Fort Bragg to me. But that's Uwharrie National Forest. Great place, kind of fun to go and hang out there. Let's see, what am I looking at? Oh, the lakes. So there we are. Baden's about an hour from Rock Hill because it is pretty quick to get out there on some of the major roads. And then, again, far side of the lake, northern, southern, might be a little bit longer. And now we're coming to Lake Wylie, right up here. This is a continuation of Lake Wylie and the Catawba River. Parts of Rock Hill border along Lake Wylie, and you're going to see some of the parks on the northern side of Rock Hill. Some neighborhoods have their docks onto Lake Wylie, and then I'm filtering into the Catawba River that kind of teeters down here, goes through there. But that is an awesome lake. It is spanning both North Carolina and South Carolina. So you could live on either side of the lake, and just a great place for summer activity. You'll see boats out there. You'll see kayaking. You'll see sailboats, motorboats, those big old pontoon boats. There's several places. If you don't own a boat, you can rent a boat. Freedom Boat Club is one that's on the North Carolina shores, and there are several other boat renting facilities up and down Lake Wylie, and I believe there are a number of them up near Denver too, or not a number, but a couple of them. Freedom Boat Club also has a Denver area facility. So if you don't own a boat, learn how to drive one, come up here and rent one. Okay, what else am I looking at? Charlotte Douglas International talked about that. Oh, one place up here is, that's right up in here. Now, whoops, sorry for the big circle there. That's Charlotte Motor Speedway, where in May time frame, you're going to see that Coca-Cola 600, one of the longer races in the country. NASCAR is big in Charlotte. You've got a ton of NASCAR teams and drivers that live up and down near Lake Norman, all over the Charlotte area. And of course, Charlotte Motor Speedway, which used to be Lowe's Motor Speedway, is just an awesome facility where they have races going year long. They've got a drag strip out there now. PNC Pavilion, which I'm going to be heading to see Hootie and the Blowfish later this summer. Actually, it's in October. That's a musical entertainment facility that is just south of there, southwest of the Motor Speedway. Maybe it's just west of the Motor Speedway. That's a great place where you can go sit on the lawn, listen to music. They've got music for my kids, probably for my mom, and for me as well. So it spans the whole horizon of a lifetime. You can get your fan favorites out there. So let's see. Then, of course, you've got Bank of America Stadium, downtown Charlotte, Truist Field, which is our minor league baseball field. That's right next to Bank of America Stadium. And Bank of America Stadium holds the Panthers in football and Charlotte FC, the 3-year-old MLS football or soccer club that's in Charlotte now. So again, all that probably 35, 45, 50, 60 minutes, again, depending on traffic, what time of day you're going up and down 77. 77 will get busy in the morning. A lot of people that live in Rock Hill work on the northern side of Rock Hill, southern side of Charlotte, or work uptown. So that can get busy heading north or south around 3:30, 4 o'clock till about 6-ish. That gets pretty busy. Let me see what else we got out here. Wait for my little wheel to stop spinning. But you've got Kings Mountain and Crowder's Mountain off to the northwest of Rock Hill. And I've camped out there several times. There's Kings Mountain National Battlefield. That's a Revolutionary War battlefield. You can walk the battlefield. It's very hilly, but it's great. It's paved. That's right in here, this area. And then you can go camp out there. So we've done that many, many times over the years. And then just northeast of that is Crowder's Mountain. And that's more of a hiking area, but a great place to go. One of the biggest facilities you're going to find for camping and all that good stuff, trail riding, trail running, kayaking, they even have a shooting range down there, I believe, is at Francis Marion. I don't know why. It's down this direction. About an hour or so from Rock Hill to the southwest is Francis Marion and Sumter National Forest. Now, don't get that confused with the Francis Marion that's down near Myrtle Beach and Charleston. Those are kind of related, but the one I'm talking about is over towards Delta, South Carolina, an hour southwest of Rock Hill. So 259,000 square acres, something like that. And like I said, hiking, biking, canoeing, kayaking, you can do anything you want in that area. Just an awesome place to go. I've run down there once or twice over the years, a very challenging area. So I think that might be about it as far as this view of Rock Hill. And remember, there's Rock Hill right in here. You still have the mountains off to the west, up in this direction more, and then you've got the beaches to the east, 3.5 to 4 hours, depending on where you're going to go on the beach. And what we're going to do next is zoom in. Probably have to do this twice. Zoom in on Rock Hill and talk about Rock Hill specifics. Maybe some of the old historic district, some of the restaurants, the breweries, the parks, a couple neighborhoods here and there. But we want to kind of give you that overview of Rock Hill zooming in, so stand by. All right, so welcome back to our little zoomed in shot of Rock Hill, and we're actually going to do one more after this where we're really in tight to the Old Town section of Rock Hill right down in here. So what I want to do, just like I've done before, show you, here's Route 77 coming down from Charlotte to the north. Yeah, it's a little bypass there. We've got a couple major roads. One is Celanese coming off of 77, and that traverses the north side pretty much of Rock Hill going east-west, west-east. And then you've got Cherry Road. That's a pretty much of a major road going through Rock Hill again, and then down out this way. And the last one, actually not the last one, but this is Dave Lyle Boulevard, and that skirts through. And like I said, I'll be looking down at my map. Sorry for not staring at you guys. That skirts through Rock Hill. And these also go east-west a bit, but mainly west off of 77. And then one road I'll hit again is Mount Gallant Road, which kind of is a circular road covering the northern side of Rock Hill. And the nice thing is it gets you to a lot of places. There are a number of places that we're going to highlight. So there it is right there. And it probably changed its name once or twice. So those are the main roads, east-west in Rock Hill. And what I'm going to do is kind of go down a little bit of a list of the parks, show you where Old Town Charlotte or Rock Hill is, a little bit more about the museum, Winthrop University, the airport, which you can see up here, and then talk about each one of those, and then have a river walk on the east side of 77. So right now, if you're looking at some of the park, you got Westminster Park up here. That's a pretty big park, pretty fun place to go hang out. One of my favorites, and the one that probably get the most amount of work done, is right up in here, and that's Ebenezer Park. There was about a $10 million, that's what I heard the number was, $10 million rework of the park to fix some of the facilities, the docks, the boating docks, some of the waterworks, just the park area, and it's beautiful. So that's Ebenezer Park up here in the north. And what you see right along here, that's blue, and that is Lake Wiley. And then you've got the Catawba River that comes down here. We'll talk about the Catawba when we go. So that's Ebenezer Park up north. We've talked about Westminster. Cherry Park down off of Cherry Road, obviously, is a great little facility, big facility. Got a number of baseball fields, athletic fields, some trails in there, some paths. But that is awesome. Right off the highway, right off the road there. And then, again, one of my favorite is right down here, Glencairn Park. That's not a park you're going to go into and run around and play. That's more of going in, observing the foliage in there, the plant life. There is a veterans section to the park where they've got a memorial for each of the services. There's a fountain in there. They've got a victory garden in there as well. My mom came down to visit, and she was a lifelong military person, and she really enjoys seeing those veterans parks. So we went and saw a couple of them, and this was one of them that we saw down in Rock Hill. Let's see, what else was there? Let me see if I've got my little list here. Glencairn, we talked about it. That fountain park we'll talk about when we get into the Old Town district. But here's a place that's pretty important to me anyway. I spent quite a bit of time here. Manchester Meadows Park. That is a huge soccer facility, and clubs come from all around the country to play there. A lot of the local teams come down there and play. A lot of them practice down there. Several turf fields. I believe there's still some grass fields down there, but a nice facility with bleachers, stands, just a great place to observe some high-level soccer in Rock Hill. So that's a great place right there, Manchester Meadows. Next, what are we going to do? We're going to go over and look at Riverwalk. So Riverwalk is a pretty big neighborhood that's been built, but the east side of 77. And inside Riverwalk, you're going to find some amazing facilities. You see this BMX park, Supercross track. The World Championships were held out there in May, this past May 2024. There's a velodrome that the Olympic team has used. It's one of, at the time, I remember doing a video, we'll put that up here somewhere, maybe over here, on Rock Hill. And at the time when I was doing that video, it was one of 22 velodromes in the country that could be used for that sort of training, Olympic style training. And then you can go there and take a class for about $65 and rent a bike for $5 and get in that velodrome. Now you got to be careful. It is one that's got a wicked angle to it. So you're not just riding straight, you're riding at an angle on that velodrome. There are several other parks in this Riverwalk district. And one thing that's really nice is you've got the Pump House, which is a awesome, there it is right over here somewhere, an awesome restaurant. They've got a bar up top. It's right on the Catawba River. You can watch people go floating by all the way down the river underneath the trestle, and then popping out down here a little bit further south on the Catawba River. There's a trail that goes through the neighborhood, the Riverwalk neighborhood, and then goes along the river here as well. So that's several miles. Very walkable, athletic fields. Just a great place, Riverwalk, as are a number of the other neighborhoods in Rock Hill. One thing we'll talk about here is the Rock Hill in York County Airport. It's a great place for a lot of the athletes to fly in and out of. Rock Hill's known for, I think it was Football Town USA or something like that. The Panthers have had a couple of Rock Hill natives on the team over the years. A number of them are on other NFL teams, a lot of basketball players, but they use that airport to fly in and out of. Sometimes if they're coming home to visit, they can also use Charlotte Douglas, which is like 45 minutes up the highway. So a lot of options there. One thing about that airport is they do have charters and business flights and also flight training. So you can get some flight training done there. Let's see what's next. Next, we're going to talk about, where did it go? Here it is, the Sleeping Giant Distillery. That was the first distillery in the area after Prohibition. So it's just a nice simple brick building, but it's a great little piece of history and distillery. What else do we have? We have up north the Museum of York County, and that's pretty cool. That is one of those museums that's more of a naturalist center. It's got a planetarium. You pay a fee to get in there. I think it's $5 for youth, $7 for seniors, and $8 for adults. Contrary to popular belief, it's not free on Sundays that I know of, but it's a great museum. Some of the write-ups, if you look at Yelp, talk about how clean it is, how bright it is, and the amount that's there for all ages, especially children, for a town like Rock Hill. And I don't mean that in a negative sense, but it's not like a metropolitan city area, but it's got a great museum. So that's one thing that you'll want to go see. Let's see, a couple golf courses in the area down towards Whispering Hills. I can't remember the name of the golf course, sorry about that. That's down here south of Rock Hill. Let's see, Piedmont Medical Center. Piedmont's got medical centers in every suburb of Charlotte and every major city. And again, the population of Rock Hill is somewhere about 78,000, 80,000, give or take. So just a bustling suburb, third or fourth largest suburb of the Charlotte area. So before I leave you, we're going to talk about Winthrop University. I went down there and did some of my videos where I talked about Rock Hill, and I focused down on Winthrop. Great college town, Division I school, Division I basketball, played in the NCAA tournament a while back. Great soccer down there as well. About 3,500 full-time students, so it's not a huge school. But when you walk the campus, it is just very comfortable, lots of brick on the campus, very green, and just a nice place. So that's a great school to visit, or a great historical facility to visit if you're in here. Didn't underline Piedmont Medical Center. So there we go. I think we've hit all of our parks except for the ones where we're going to zoom in a little bit closer on the Old Town Center, Rock Hill. Let me take one more last look around. I think we're good. Up here is Fort Mill, North Carolina. There's a lot of parks up there to hang out to, and it's very close to Rock Hill. So we're going to zoom deeper into Rock Hill in a second, so stay with me. Oh, before we go ahead and do that, if you want to know about any of the neighborhoods that we're going to kind of gloss over a little bit, we've already done some of that a bit, or you want to know a little bit more about some of the parks, anything about Rock Hill, put that in the comments section or send me a note. Like I said before, we'd love to do Zoom calls with anybody. We've gotten on a bunch of Zoom calls from people that are coming here to visit or to move to the general Charlotte area and want to know a little bit more in a face-to-face manner, and I'm the one who takes those calls. So go ahead and do that. Next, like I said, now we're going to zoom in a little bit closer on Rock Hill. Finally zeroed in on the Old Town section of Rock Hill, the downtown Old Town section of Rock Hill, which is right in here. I won't color it in with you. Now I'm going to start right out with the reason I went down to the old section of Rock Hill, and that's this place right here called, come on, slide over there, whoops, the Counter. That's this restaurant right here. If you don't know the history behind Counter with a K, that used to be the old Five and Dime McCory's restaurant back in the 50s and 60s. And that was the place where the Friendship nine African-American students from, I think it was Friendship College, came and sat at the counter and wouldn't leave. They were supposed to leave because it was a segregated dining facility, and they wouldn't leave. And so what you'll do is you'll go in there, great place to have a orange creamsicle soda. My mom and I went down there and had that when she came to visit. And then you can take a walk right outside their interior door, and there's almost like a museum that talks through the sequence of how the Friendship Nine came to be and the effect that it had on the nation. So awesome place to go. Really some crazy food combinations there and great drinks. But that's the reason I went down to this historic district in Rock Hill to see that, and then discovered that there was so much more down there. And so what we'll do here, since we zoomed in, is go ahead and maybe from top to bottom cover some of these places. And the first one I'm going to cover is over here, the Anderson. That is a new, I wouldn't say upscale, but it looks very upscale apartment building. If you look at their information page or their website, they've got some great reviews from people that live there, and even people that live down the street from there that have talked about that location. So that's just a nice, good looking building. People are happy with it, and it's just an addition to the old part of Rock Hill that kind of fits right in there. So the next thing is I went from the Counter, went across the street towards the Crystal Ballroom in Rock Hill, and walked down here. There's a pub and there's a couple of shops. This is some residential housing right here, down past the tavern and across the street, and then up the stairs here, and you're at City Hall. So it's pretty cool. It's very modern, but fits right in with an older style architecture, lots of brick. You got the library and on this side over here, but this is a really cool looking town hall. So I wanted to highlight that. Of course, the courthouse. The courthouse is over here down the street. Next, you've got Amelie's French Bakery, and if you haven't been to that, there's a couple of them up in Charlotte. That's a great place to go for meeting people for coffee, for getting some pastry, for having a quick breakfast or lunch, but just an awesome place. I love Amelie's. I call it Amelie's, maybe someone calls it Amelie's. Next is the Millstone Pizza and Tap House, great place for pizza and beer. Flipside, which is Southern Cooking Restaurant. And again, this is all right around East Main Street in downtown Rock Hill. Freedom Montessori School is right over here. The next place I'm going to show you is Showtime Theater Company. So you can go to the theater, you can learn, you can train, you can observe. Pretty cool stuff. One of the last things I'm going to identify, but before I get down there, just up and down this street, you're going to find all sorts of little businesses, some places to eat, some places to shop, pick up knickknacks, some really nice places all up and down the street. Very walkable, easy to get to from Charlotte, easy to get to from anywhere around Rock Hill. The last place here is Fountain Park. That's one of the parks that I didn't hit the last segment, but it's really cool. What I've been told is that Bellagio's is the place that they designed their fountain was after, or it's the same people that designed the Bellagio fountains designed them here in Fountain Park. So you've got some parking across the street. Oh, that's down here. They have events there, festivals, all cool stuff. The Spring Festival, I missed that, but when I was down there before the festival, you can see signs all over the place talking about the great Spring Festival down in Rock Hill. So if you have any more questions about Rock Hill, the old section, Winthrop University, of the high schools down there, or any of the school systems, the parks, put that in the comment section or send me a note. Would love to talk to you. Please give us a check. Let's see, I think that's about it. So I want to thank you for participating and attending this new video about our Rock Hill map tour. So have a great day.